Hello and welcome once again to Straight Bat, my weekly video blog where, as the title suggests, I comment with a straight bat. Let me start with a quotation. Let's send the message across to every high court. Please exercise your jurisdiction to protect personal liberty because that's the ultimate reason for our existence as constitutional courts. If this court does not intervene today, we are traveling on the path of destruction. That was Justice Chandrachud in the Supreme Court while granting bail to television anchor Arnab Goswami on November 11th. Now, just a day after this grand pronouncement of personal liberty by the Honorable Justice, the Meghalaya High Court declined to quash a criminal case against Patricia Mukim, a senior Shillong-based journalist, for her Facebook post about continued attacks on non-tribals in the state of Meghalaya. Now, Mukim is a well-regarded editor, but she's not a TV celebrity. She does not have a prime-time show where she can use the TV studio as a pulpit from where she can harangue and intimidate the entire world. She is like thousands of others, a journalist who simply reports and opines on the daily news wheel. She is not a political proxy, so an adverse court ruling against Ms. Mukim is not going to result in union ministers tweeting and saying there is an emergency mindset in the country, or street protests being organized, or social media hashtags being choreographed in a way. If she were to go to jail tomorrow, no party's IT cell is going to get outraged. And I don't think you'll have political party workers lining up outside the prison when she is released. But as a citizen of this country, a Patricia Mukim would have the same fundamental rights as an Arnab Goswami. As unquestionably do dozens of other lesser known journalists in this country who are often charged with sedition simply because of their anti-establishment views. Indeed, it is selective application, therefore, of the definition of personal liberty, this concept enunciated by Justice Chandrachud so admirably, that expose the creeping double standards of our judicial system. This, after all, is the same Supreme Court which has repeatedly abdicated its duty when confronted with numerous habeas corpus petitions involving those who've been imprisoned for months in Jammu and Kashmir. This is the same Supreme Court which turned down a petition by noted lawyer activist Sudha Bhardwaj on medical grounds and superfluously then remarked, "You have a good case on merits. Why don't you just apply for a regular bail?" This after Sudha has been in jail for more than 2 years. Sudha Bhardwaj has to remain in jail and is asked to follow due process, while the same due process is bypassed when the apex court takes up the case on a priority basis of a celebrity journalist. This is also the same Supreme Court which is reluctant to intervene when a Kerala journalist, Siddiq Kappan, is arrested and charged under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act when he is on his way to report on the Hathras case in Uttar Pradesh last month. Finally, when the Supreme Court decides to intervene, what do? They issue a notice to the UP police and ask the petitioner, "Why did you not first go to the Allahabad High Court?" Now, in the Goswami case, at no stage did the Supreme Court say, "Why did you not go to the Sessions Court first?" So the whole notion of due process appears to be riddled, frankly, with inconsistencies and double standards. In fact, it is the sheer arbitrariness of the judicial interventions in these bail petitions that must be questioned. In state of Rajasthan versus Balchand, the Supreme Court laid down the rule very clearly that the basic rule should be bail, not jail, while allowing an element of discretion based on the merits of the case. But surely notions of judicial discretion cannot be based on whim and fanciful posturing. There must be some element of procedural certitude in our judicial system. Yes, in the Arnab Goswami case, a abetment to suicide charge that smacks of political vendetta should be a bailable charge. But then shouldn't the same principle apply when, for example, a journalist in Uttar Pradesh, Prashant Kanojia, is arrested by the UP police, kept in jail for 2 months? Why? Because he retweeted a tweet related to the Ram temple in Ayodhya that was seen to be a tweet that could spread disaffection. No union minister screamed that Kanojia was in jail for 2 months. No one again said that emergency mindset is there in the country. No one threatened a street protest. There were no hashtags on Twitter. The question is, why should the misuse of state power by an opposition-ruled state like Maharashtra be seen as any different to a similar abuse of power in a BJP-ruled state like Uttar Pradesh? Surely the rule should be same for all. Truth is, responses to bail petitions, my friends, are increasingly guided by the status of the arrestee and the prevailing partisan political environment. What else explains the manner in which, for example, the bail pleas of activists who've been arrested under the UPA, many of them young students, in courts across the country during the entire anti-CAA agitation? It is almost as if this highly toxic and surcharged debate on the Citizenship Amendment Act means that if I oppose it, I become anti-national, I become urban Naxal, and I must remain in jail. I will not get bail simply because of my dissenting political views. To my mind, no case in recent times exemplifies the utter hollowness of these notions of personal liberty that Justice Chandrachud spoke about than the case of Father Stan Swamy. 83-year-old UAPA detainee arrested last month in the Elgar Parishad case, in which several leftist activists have been arrested for their alleged Maoist links. Father Swamy, who has worked for decades among tribal rights groups, filed a petition in the special NIA court where he had been arrested that he be allowed to use a straw sipper. Because he cannot hold a glass properly, he suffers at 83 years from Parkinson's. The National Investigation Agency says, or their lawyers say, we need 20 days to review this petition and then we'll come back to you. Think about what has been said. Nearly 3 weeks is what the NIA wants to decide on a request by an 83-year-old to use a straw sipper in Taloja prison? Can there be anything more ludicrous, my friends, and morally repugnant? Earlier, the same court had rejected Father Swamy's bail plea, where he had pleaded for bail on medical grounds. Now consider if Father Swamy had been a politician or an eminent citizen and not a human rights activist. As has been evidenced in several cases, the moment a politician or an influential figure or a VVIP is arrested, they almost immediately get shifted to a hospital or special facility, saying chest pain, usually. That's the excuse. Contrast this also with another octogenarian activist, again arrested in the Elgar Parishad case, the poet activist Varvara Rao, arrested in June 2018. Since then, repeated pleas have been made, at least allow him to be shifted into a hospital for special medical treatment because of his ill health. Finally, only this week, after over almost 2 years of trying, the court has agreed that he be shifted to a hospital. That too for now, for only 2 weeks. What are the chances, I ask you, of an 80-year-old poet activist escaping or tampering with evidence that he should be denied bail? Which is why Justice Chandrachud's fine words about personal liberty need to resonate well beyond his own court, if they are to truly serve as some kind of a moral and legal compass for our criminal justice system. This is a country where more than 70% of the prisoners are under trials. This is a country where at the end of 2019, more than 1 lakh people were lodged as under trials for more than a year. As the cases pile up, the jails are getting overcrowded and increasingly unmanageable. Why should those who are queuing up for bail in petty crime cases have to wait for months for a date, for a tariq, as they say in our courts, for a court listing, while high-profile individuals can get an urgent hearing even when the court is in recess? This perception of special treatment for privileged citizens must go, my friends. It is against the fundamental constitutional principle of equality under the law and equal citizenship. The nation wants to know, or should I say the nation ought to know, is the personal liberty of a prime-time TV anchor any greater than that of an Aam Aadmi or Aurat in this country? As a postscript, let me say this. Prime-time TV studios of the so-called noise channels are converted into mini courtrooms every night, where that cardinal jurisprudence principle of innocent till proven guilty has been totally reversed. Rhea Chakrabarti was accused of abetment to suicide in the Sushant case based on no hard evidence but pure innuendo. What would the noise channel screech every night? When will Rhea be arrested? I ask you today, will those news channels apply the same rules to themselves that they wanted applied in Rhea's case? Think about it. That was the Straight Bat.